She came back late, shoes dangling from her hand, hair too neat for just the girls. She dumped her purse on the counter like it owed her money. I checked the clock above the stove. It was well past midnight. Got stuck at Kelsey's, she tossed out, already moving to the sink. Really? I answered, leaning on the island. What kept you that long? She glanced at her phone, tilted it away. Why aren't you asleep? Big day tomorrow, isn't it? That's how you know, by the way. The subject hops the fence and doesn't come back. She poured a glass of water like she'd been sprinting laps. When I stepped closer, she locked the phone with one thumb and tucked its screen down. Not even subtle. New habit. I asked. She shrugged. You're too jealous for other people's jokes. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have skipped the part where I still tried to meet her halfway. But I didn't know yet. I only knew something smelled like smoke, and she was asking me why I noticed the fire. Next morning, she stood at the counter in an oversized sweatshirt, hair twisted up with a pin. The phone lay face down next to her coffee. When a notification buzzed, she slapped her palm over it like a goalie. Relax, she said, not looking at me. It's work chat. You're head of events, I replied. You schedule potlucks. Since when do potlucks ping at 6 a.m.? She turned, mug in hand. Since you started timing my phone, apparently. I'm timing patterns. The pattern says we talk less, and your phone talks more. Her smile was tight. There it is. Detective Dan. Dan's at work, I told her. At home, I'm just the guy who signs the mortgage. She blew across her coffee. And I'm the one who makes sure we have a life worth living. About that life? I said, pulling out a chair. I moved your card off my banking app this morning. Her eyes blinked once. You did what? You've been floating girls' nights on our joint. I'm not sponsoring mystery jokes. You're too spendy for my wallet. That's controlling, she snapped. No, I corrected. That's budgeting. You told me I'm too jealous for other people's jokes. I'm telling you you're too loose for my accounts. She put the mug down harder than she meant to. So what? I need permission to buy coffee now. You need your own budget, I replied. Use your paycheck for your hobbies. I'll handle mortgage, utilities, and my stuff. Join us for groceries. That's it. You're punishing me. I'm calibrating. New rules. We run clean lines from now on. Her jaw shifted. I have a late meeting tonight with vendors. Don't wait up. Works for me, I said. I've got a shop install with Nate after hours. She snorted. Right. Your little side project. Nate's not little anything. He's my foreman, 50 with a stiff back and the mouth of a retired umpire. He'd been watching me hold my tongue for months, and it annoyed him like a crooked shelf. At noon, I grabbed a sandwich at the shop. Nate slid onto the stool across from me. Trouble at home? He asked, tearing his bread in half like it had cheated the carbs tax. Define trouble. You look like a man who keeps listening after the lights are off. Her phone has more privacy than the Federal Reserve, I said. Nate grunted. You cut her off yet? From what? From the faucet that keeps your resentment hydrated. I reworked the budget. Good start, he said. Next time she throws a line, don't chase it. Cut it at the dock. Back home, she stood at the mirror, finishing makeup for that vendor thing. New dress. New perfume she called Citrus and Mystery. I leaned on the doorframe. Where's the meeting? Hotel bar by the river. She answered, clicking a bracelet clasp. I told you. You told me vendors, I said. Not where. Why do you need every detail? Not every, I said. Just the ones you'd tell me if respect was a habit. She rolled her eyes. Text me your workshop address then, huh? I'll keep score too. She grabbed her purse. The phone went into it like contraband. I reached for the ring bowl, slid my truck key into my pocket. If you need a ride later, plan ahead, I added. I'm not doing midnight pickups anymore. She paused at the door. Since when? Since now. She stared a beat, measuring whether to push. Fine. Don't wait up. Wasn't planning to. The door closed. Another small bone in the pile. I wiped the counter, hung a towel, and felt the house exhale. Patterns don't lie. They just wait for you to catch up. I shut off the lights and decided to swing by her friend Kelsey's this weekend. Not for surveillance. For clarity. Kelsey loves a crowd, and crowds have a way of airing jokes a little too loud. If there was a line I needed to draw, it would be where witnesses could hear it. Kelsey's backyard smelled like 100 grilled opinions. She's an extrovert with a megaphone voice and a taste for hosting. I showed up with a bowl of slaw and a six-pack of sparkling water. Kelsey, I greeted, handing her the bag. Well, hey there, stranger, she chimed. Your wife said you were married to that shop. Shop pays the mortgage, I said. Where is she? Inside, doing whatever women do. Grab a plate. Inside, the kitchen was full of chatter and a blender. My wife stood near the island with 3 women I'd seen at her office party. She spotted me and lifted an eyebrow that said, "You showed up?" Vendor canceled. I told her, setting the water down. I came to say hi. Her face went neutral. Bold of you to appear without a chaperone. One of the friends laughed. Careful, he'll check your receipts. I turned to her. No need. I already simplified our ledger. My wife folded her arms. He simplified by docking my account like a warden. I skimmed my hand through the air. Correction, I moved us to adult budgeting. Joint for food. Personal for personal. If you want upgrades, upgrade your funding. Kelsey leaned in, curious and a little entertained. Y'all okay? We're fine, my wife answered too quickly. He just likes guardrails. I like clarity, I said. Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to drop a boundary, since this crowd loves boundaries. Midnight rides are over. If you go out late, I'm sleeping. She smirked, gesturing to her friends. You hearing this? Curfew for chauffeurs. Not a curfew. I corrected calm. A schedule. I wake up at 5. If you plan a late night, plan a ride. A guy in a faded polo, neighbor, I think, piped up. Sounds practical. My wife aimed for mock empathy. He's very practical. Like a spreadsheet with shoes. Spreadsheets keep roofs over heads, I replied. She tapped her phone on the counter like a gavel. Anyway, work chat. Be right back. She slid away to the patio, phone pressed to her ear. A laugh floated back that didn't sound like office talk. Kelsey gave me a look. You good? She asked softer. I'm fine, I answered. I'm just done guessing. Later, as folks gathered around the fire pit, she tossed barbs about men who need to know the address of every bathroom on the route. I let it roll until one of the guys asked me point blank, so how do you handle it when she goes out with coworkers? I handle my hours, I said, letting my voice carry. I don't chase people. I don't do midnight rides. And I don't pay for mysteries. The small circle went quiet, soaking that in. My wife's head snapped my way. Dramatic, she said, laughing, but there was no laughter in it. Clear, I returned. We left early, separately. Back home, she stood in the doorway peeling off her sandals. That stunt, she started. Uncalled for. Which part? I asked. The new budget or the public clarity? You made me look bad in front of my friends. No, I said. Your behavior did that. I just labeled it. That way no one has to pretend later. She shook her head. You're turning into your father. Say something new, I replied. Or say something true. She went silent, and for a second it felt like a stalemate. Then the phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced, smiled with just her lip, then caught herself and flipped it face down. Who's Liam? I asked. Coworker, she answered too fast. He handles vendors. Good, I said. Let him handle your rides too. She started a reply, thought better, and headed to the bedroom. The door closed. We'd just opened a new loop. Who's Liam? And why did his name make her blink wrong? Work got busier. The shop took on a set of custom cabinets. We were booked 6 weeks out. I like busy. It keeps my hands honest. But home turned into a silent movie. No captions, all expression. She moved around me like I was a piece of furniture that had disappointed her. Another Friday, she came in late, hair perfect, attention elsewhere. She headed for the fridge. You eat? I asked, wiping down my workbench in the garage. Had a bite, she called. We stayed late going over numbers. You and who? Team, she said, then louder. Why do you need details? Because specifics prevent confusion. She appeared at the garage door, chin up. Liam and Kira. Are you satisfied now? I'm collecting facts, I replied. Satisfaction's different. She laughed without humor. You're exhausting. Then rest, I said. I moved the guest room setup. You can use it if you want space. Her eyes sharpened. You're kicking me out of our bed? I'm offering options, I told her. Cold fronts need distance. It helps prevent hail. Look at you, she muttered. Writing rules. I'm not writing promises I can't keep. She looked like she might say something sharp, then change tactics. How about I make breakfast tomorrow? Pancakes. Bacon. That okay with your spreadsheet? Illusion number 1. Soft voice. Peace offering. Right after I put a line on sleep. I gave a small nod. Fine, I said. We'll see. She cooked. It smelled like old times. She even kissed my cheek when she dropped the plate. Sorry if I've been tense, she said, picking at her own food. Work's crazy. Clients want miracles for free. You could have said that 2 weeks ago, I replied, chewing. I'm saying it now. I hear it, I told her. Hearing and believing are separate accounts too. That afternoon, I canceled a couple's dinner we were supposed to attend. Texted my buddy Adam, I'm out tonight. Rain check. He shot back a thumbs up and a line. Everything good? I answered with a neutral. Busy. Another Saturday night, another work thing. She left an address I'd never seen. I didn't ask. I picked up extra sandpaper and stayed at the shop late with Nate. Want to grab tacos? He asked around 9. Rain check, I said. I'm hitting the store then home. I drove the long way back. Not because I was chasing. Because patterns like to wave when you change routes. I passed the riverfront and saw the hotel bar she'd named weeks ago. The patio was crowded. Laughter, clinking glasses, the open look of people who like being watched. I parked across the street. I'm not a spy. I'm a man who's done being lied to in small words. She was there, near the railing, shoulder to shoulder with a man from those social posts I'd scrolled through once when she wasn't guarding her phone. Tall, easy smile, expensive haircut. He rested his hand on the small of her back, like it had always belonged there. Her hand covered his for a second. That's not office culture. That's something else. I didn't take pictures. I didn't step closer. I didn't need a committee to reach a conclusion. He whispered something. She laughed, the kind of laugh she used to reserve for our private jokes. They left together, cutting through the crowd like they'd been practicing. I watched them walk toward the rideshare line and didn't follow. I turned the key and went home. My hands were steady. That tells you everything. When you're truly done, the body knows before the brain catches up. Back at the house, I pulled the small lockbox from the closet and the number for the 24-hour locksmith from my phone. While he swapped the deadbolts, I packed her side of the closet into bins. Not rage, not theater. Inventory. Clothes, shoes, makeup bag, travel tote, the stack of magazines she pretended to read. I set everything under the covered porch, dry and neat. Her key fob went into an envelope labeled with the date. I slid it through the mail slot with a note. Use the pickup window I'll send. At 1 a.m., my phone lit up. Unknown number. Then her name, then a string of calls. I let them ring. At 2 a.m., there was knocking. Then pounding. Then the doorbell pressed so long it sounded like an alarm. I texted, pickup time is 10 a.m. tomorrow. Email me if you need a different window. No entry tonight. She kept ringing. I kept the volume down and turned on a movie for noise. Around 2:30, Linda from next door knocked on my garage side door gentle. She's 50-something, raised 3 boys alone, runs on coffee and common sense. You okay? She asked, glancing toward the front. I'm perfectly okay, I said. Just cleaning up. Her eyes went to the bins on the porch. She nodded once. Need me to sit outside? No, I answered. Thanks. If she gets loud, I'll call you. You do that, she said. And get some sleep. You look finished. I am. By 3, the noise died. I slept. At 7, I brewed coffee and opened my laptop. I typed 3 sentences to a family lawyer's site and booked a morning appointment. Then I emailed her. Pickup window 10 to 10:30 a.m. Please confirm. Anything left after noon gets donated. At 9:58, her car, a model she loved too much, pulled up hard. She walked fast, sunglasses on, jaw set. I opened the door halfway. I'm not doing this, she said. You already did, I replied. She tried to push past me. I stepped aside just enough to make it clear, not enough to let her in. You changed the locks? She demanded. Last night. You can't. I can, I said. And I did. Your things are on the porch. Sign for them and go. She looked over my shoulder at the living room like it owed her an apology. You overreacted. I kept my voice level. I saw you. That's all I'm going to say about that. You had no right to be there, she shot back. Public bar, public sidewalk, I answered. I was on my way home. I saw what I needed. That was a vendor dinner. With hands where they didn't belong, I said. I'm not debating optics. I'm changing the rules. She breathed hard through her nose. You're ending a marriage over a misunderstanding? I'm ending a marriage over disrespect. I corrected. Paperwork goes in today. She flinched. You're serious? Completely. She stared, maybe searching for the old version of me who would have tried to negotiate with her mood. He left with the deadbolt. You're cruel. she said, voice low. No, I said. I'm clear. She signed the receipt. Linda stood at the edge of her yard with a rake, not watching. My wife, or the woman I lived with, whichever we're calling her now, loaded her bins. Then she paused at the last step. Can we talk tonight? She asked. Just talk. No. Email. She swallowed. Is there anything I can say? Not that I need to hear. She left. The porch felt 10 degrees warmer. At work, I told Nate I needed 30 minutes around lunch. You filing? He asked. Yeah. Do it clean, he said. No speeches. I'm fresh out. I drove to the lawyer's office, signed the papers, paid the retainer from my personal account, and walked out lighter. I sent her a single line. I filed. No attachments. No poetry. At 2 p.m., she texted, I'll come by the shop with food. We need to talk. That was fast. Tactical kindness. Illusion number 2. Don't, I replied. No visitors. She showed up anyway at 3:15, carrying a bag that smelled like deli. She walked into the bay like she owned the floor. Nate looked up from the table, saw, and muttered, incoming weather. I'll take it outside, I told him. She handed me a container. Turkey and Swiss. Your favorite. That was my favorite when we were a team. We're still a team, she insisted. We hit a bad week. We hit a wall. I countered. And you brought a sandwich to a demolition. I can explain last night, she said quickly. It looked bad, but it wasn't. Stop, I cut in. Don't make me choose between believing my eyes and believing your story. That's not love. That's a magic trick. She set the bag on a crate. You're hurting me. I'm refusing to be the guy people practice on, I answered. Different thing. I made mistakes, she said, lowering her voice now that Nate could hear every word. But you're making me out to be a monster. I'm making you out to be a person with choices, I said. And I'm making my own. Nate walked by, slow, carrying clamps. He didn't look at her. I'm not leaving here until we talk. She tried again, firmer. You're leaving, I said. Because this is my workplace and I set the rules here. Let me guess, she mocked. Email. What do I even write? She demanded. Write the facts. Pick a time to retrieve mail. State what you need from the house. That's it. She looked past me into the shop, like maybe there was a banner hanging that said she still mattered more than the dust. There wasn't. Who are you right now? She asked. The man you trained, I replied. You taught me to pay attention to patterns. I graduated. She blinked hard and turned away. As she reached the door, she pivoted back. I care about you, she said. I know I don't say it right, but I do. I care about me too, I told her. That's new. She left. Nate came back with 2 sodas, handed me one. Turkey and Swiss? He asked. Apparently. He tossed it in the shop fridge. Fuel for later. Paperwork will need energy. When I got home, there were flowers on the stoop. No note. I set them in the garage, out of the sun. I'm not cruel. I'm thorough. In the evening, a group chat pinged. Kelsey had added half the neighborhood, because that's what Kelsey does. Hey, she wrote, we're worried. Are you two okay? My phone lit up with side comments. 6 people asking variations of the same question. I hate group therapy. I sent one reply. We're separating. Please don't speculate. If you need my involvement in a plan, email me. Then I left the chat. Linda texted separately. Need anything? I answered. Thanks. Covered. She responded with a thumbs up and, proud of you, kid. I'm 42. Kid still helped. 2 mornings later, my soon-to-be ex stood on the sidewalk while I watered the front shrubs. She had that cool-headed look she puts on when she's about to sell something. Can we walk? She asked. You can talk right there. I replied, thumb over the hose nozzle. I don't accept this, she started. You're throwing away years. We can do counseling. We can reset. You don't need me to accept your version, I said. You need me to go along with it. I won't. You're being stubborn. I'm being precise. She tried a different door. What do you even want, Dan? Name it. I want respect. I want my house back. I want peace. You'll never find someone who cares like I do, she said, a little desperate under the calm. Then you should keep that care for yourself. You're going to need it. She crossed her arms. You changed the locks like I'm dangerous. I changed the locks because I protect what's mine. This is our home. It was, I replied. Now it's my house, and your name on a file will settle soon. You don't have to be this cold. I'm not cold. I'm done. She looked at the porch, at the door, At the windows we'd argued about replacing last fall. Then she tried last stretch kindness. I made dinner reservations for Friday, she offered. That steak place you like. My treat. Cancel it, I said. Save the money. Her mouth pressed thin. You'll be sorry, she said, worn out words that used to work on me. I'm already better, I answered. She left without slamming her car door. That's a new record. I emailed later. Your mail is on hold at the post office. Change your address by Friday. I will be out Saturday from 9 to noon. You may retrieve any remaining items then. Linda will witness. Communication stays in writing. She sent a paragraph about love, mistakes, time, lists of plans for the holidays. I replied with 3 bullet points. Saturday window, written only, no more drop-ins. She didn't write back. Silence can be violent or it can be peaceful. This one was peace. Saturday, she came for the last pickups. Linda stood on her porch, pretending to trim a plant that did not need trimming. My wife tried to start small talk. You look tired. Work, I said. We used to drive to the lake on Saturdays, she murmured. We used to, I echoed. Load your car. She carried the last bin to the trunk and closed it with a soft thud. She turned. Final answer? She asked. This is not a quiz, I replied. This is a door. She swallowed. Say something nice, she said, surprising me. Just once. Okay, I said. You made me raise my standards. She stood there a second too long and then got in the car. As she drove off, Linda ambled over. You handled that, she said. I'm just tired of being drafted into someone else's story. You wrote a new one. I wrote instructions. I corrected, and I meant it. A month later, the house felt like mine. I painted the bedroom, replaced the flickering light in the hallway, sold the living room set she liked, and bought a table that could take a dent without starting a fight. On Sundays, I grilled in the yard. Sometimes I invited Adam and his wife. Sometimes I sat with a beer and read. I traded in my old car for a solid pickup with decent miles and no payments. I slept straight through the night. The silence was different now. It wasn't waiting for an alibi. It was just quiet. At the shop, Nate clapped me on the shoulder one morning. You look 10 pounds lighter, he said. 15, I answered. A month after that, I met Dana at a supply store comparing tile samples. She has a calm way of asking questions that makes people tell the truth by accident. We didn't rush anything. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into the kind of weekends that don't need explaining. She knows the whole story. She respects the rules because they're not punishment. They're guardrails for respect. I heard through the grapevine. Kelsey's grapevine is loud. That my ex moved into a smaller apartment across town. She gave up her lease car for an older sedan. The friend group split. Half of them got tired of being backups to late-night reruns. I don't gloat. I don't need to. Reality writes its own jokes. Every so often, a number I don't recognize pops up with a short message. Hope you're well. I don't reply. She doesn't need my weather report. I don't need her forecast. People ask me how I knew it was time to end it. They want a dramatic moment, a thrown glass, a discovery that hurts good. I tell them the truth. It wasn't drama. It was the pattern. It was the sentence. You're too jealous for other people's jokes, spoken by a woman who carried her phone like a secret, and the sentence. You're too spendy for my wallet, spoken by a man who'd finally learned to pay himself first. It was the night I saw her with another man and went home to change the locks instead of changing the story. When I handed her the last bin, she asked me for one nice thing. I already gave it to her. Here's the other one I saved for myself. Respect isn't a negotiation. It's a door you